Hello and welcome back to my studio. Now, I'm better known for my landscapes and skies, but I do love having a go at nature, and in particular sort of moving animals and birds like this. Now, this is a Peregrine Falcon, and I've taken this from a photograph that I found online. I drew it all out with a pencil first, and then I've gone over with ink. These are the Unipin pens, which are 100% waterproof. Please be careful if you have a go at this. Make sure you test your pen to make sure it's waterproof. So I've done the drawing, done all the ink, and now I'm going to lay some watercolour on this. If you want to have a go at this, I'm just going to put a still of this on the video now for you to take a screenshot. So what I'm going to do now is apply some paint to this, and let me just show you the palette. So here I've put out some ultramarine and I've added some water to that, and then added light red and converted that into a really beautiful deep plum colour. And this wants to be the consistency of sort of oil, olive oil, quite thick. And I've also got a blob of burnt umber here, some Payne's grey, a little raw sienna, and some cerulean blue. Now, the idea is to get some energy and movement into this. It looks a bit static as it is, so I'm going to use the paint to try and create that energy. I'm going to use the large hake or hake, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and I'm going to thoroughly saturate this in the water and then get this really wet. And I'm using the large brush today because it is in the middle of the summer and it's really warm here in the studio, and the bigger the brush the better. Means I can get the paint on much more quickly before the water evaporates. So I've got a couple of full brush loads there, and I've basically spread it out and evened it out across the whole of the paper. Now what I'm going to do is try and create just a sky in the background, so I'm picking up quite a lot of that cerulean blue right across the tip of the brush till it's all smooth across the tip of the brush, and then I'm just going to sweep it all the way through. Now I'm going to keep this movement generally from right to left, coming across at an angle, because I want the bird to look like it's swooping down and about to turn and maybe get some prey, and by doing this it's already creating that side to side movement. Now I'm just going to touch a little bit of the plum colour. I haven't washed the brush, I've just picked up a little of that, and I'm just going to put a little of that in as well. Just gives it a little bit of an alternative sort of shade in the sky, and that's pretty good actually. I'm quite happy with that. Now what I am going to do now is I'm going to get my number 8 spearhead brush, and I've just washed it and just pulled a little of the water out of it, and I'm just going to get a little of the plum colour. I'm going to drop it on the wingtip there, holding the brush quite low. I'm going to sort of drag it like this. Now that, as you can see, is really soft and it's blending beautifully into that background. Let's do it on this wing here as well. So have a little bit coming out of there. I just drag it across and it'll really soften it, perhaps a little coming off the tail there as well. I've got to do that quickly because it's going to dry really fast on me, that. And I don't want to be playing with the brush once it's started to dry. And that will fade a little bit as it dries off, but I'm hoping that that will give the whole thing a real feel of movement and energy, almost like the air blowing out behind the wings. Okay, so that's beautiful. I'm really pleased with that. That's thoroughly dried off now. I've already started to remove some of the paint here from the body of the bird. Now I'm using Bockingford paper. Bockingford is a wood pulp paper, and it's a hard surface, so it allows me to lift paint off. So I've got a little 1/4 inch flat brush here, and it's full of water, and if I give that a good scrub and a dab with the kitchen towel, I can take off the paint and it restores the white areas back to white where I want them. So I'm going to go over the whole of the bird now and remove a few more patches where I want it white, and then we'll come back and get some more paint on. Right, so I've removed the paint from the wings here, most of the breast and some of these tail feathers. Now what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to pretty much try and do all of this in one go now. I'm just going to use water and watercolour paint. I'm going to let it all run and blend together. So I want the sort of basically the face and this upper part of the breast to remain white. So I'm just using a number 8 spearhead brush here and filling it up with water. So if I do this main body of the bird here now, like that, and I want to get in a sort of a yellowish tinge. I'm going to use the raw sienna for that. So I've just picked up a little on the tip of the brush and I'm just going to scribble that in, but I'm just going to keep it away from this upper chest and head area, just so that they remain white. Nice, there we are. And that just sort of softens and blends away in. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the burnt umber, just a little bit lower down. I'm going to try and just scribble that in, a little bit darker under there on the belly, down the just the sides. Give that a little scribble and blend that away there. And then a tiny touch of the Payne's grey. Just down, I'm going to flick it down there, and that will just give a little shadow either side of the bird's legs there. And I can continue. I don't need to dry that off. I can get some more water now and we'll work across the wing. So I'll just put a little bit of water in there, a little bit of the raw sienna. Nice and wet, nice and loose, and again a little bit of the burnt umber. I'm going to drop that along there and just let that sort of blend down into that raw sienna. Just give it a little flick and it'll blend away, and hopefully it'll look quite sort of feathery as it dries. Let's just put a tiny bit more stronger stuff just there. It just gives the wing a little bit of shape. Just a little bit of colour in this top edge of this wing, a little bit of water on that, and a touch of Payne's grey, maybe a touch more than that, and then I'm going to use some stronger Payne's grey. I'm just going to darken this wing a little bit in places. Beautiful. Really love that. And I'm going to put a little bit of Payne's grey just along the top edge of this wing here. And you'll just to remind you, I'm doing all of this while it's still wet. It allows the paints to sort of fuse and blend together. Let's put some colour on a little bit of colour on the tail feathers. Water again here. And just a touch of the raw sienna. A little bit on there. No need to pre-wet those. And then what I might do, as this just starts to dry off, what I might do is just get a tiny bit more of the Payne's grey and just drop it round there, right on the underside of that belly. It'll just help it look like it's in shadow a little bit. Makes that belly look a little bit more three-dimensional. Right, that's pretty much it, except I want to get some quite strong raw sienna on these talons on the feet, but I'm going to need to dry that before I take it any further. So I've given that a good blow dry with a hairdryer. I'm just going to use a spearhead number 6. This is a smaller round brush and some quite strong raw sienna, and I'm just going to drop that here onto the feet on those legs, and that just gives them that sort of slightly yellower look. Looking really, really good now. So that's it. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some splattering. Now this can be a little risky. So let me show you on a little scrap of paper first before I do it. There we go. Now the idea is to get a round brush like this, get lots of water in it, pick up some colour, and on this instance I'm using the plum colour. So plenty of water. So it's a little bit looser than it was before. Put some water in it. You can see that's quite runny now, but still strong. And I'm rolling the brush in it to try and fill the brush head. Now the idea is that you hold the brush horizontally and you tap with your fingernail, and it will give you a splatter like that. If your finger isn't strong enough, you could always just tap it with something like, you could use the handle of the Hake brush and give it a tap like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and create a little bit more energy now by splattering. Maybe it's been in the water and it's wet or something, but this kind of splattering technique is just wonderful. So I'm going to stand up and try and move myself around a little bit to get the brush in place. I'm going to start tapping like that. Don't want to overdo it. A little bit around here. Maybe just a bit off the back of that tail there. And that's it. Basically, I think that looks absolutely wonderful. That's a peregrine falcon swooping around, trying to catch its prey. Lots of energy, lots of movement, really bright. So I hope you enjoyed watching me do that, and you have a lot of fun if you want to give it a try. Do please subscribe, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks so much for watching.